Dear students, let's finish this chapter with the last theory, theory C, figures with multiple triangles, which I think is a weird name for a theory, but technically they are correct. You can also say that this is just the theory that's going to summarize everything we know and going to ask you to now use it in conjunction with each other. Dus we gaan alle regels eigenlijk gezamenlijk toepassen. It also means that this can happen on the test, and it means on the test you should always be prepared to recognize and use all the rules. Which 5 rules do I mean? We know that right angles are 90 degrees, so it's a right angle rule. That in a straight angle, those two angles together add up to 180 degrees, the straight angle rule. That in a cross formation like this with intersecting lines, the opposite angles are the same, so C2 to C4, opposite angles. Also C1 to C3, of course. In a triangle, all 3 angles together are 180 degrees, the angle sum of a triangle. And in a quadrilateral, they all add up to 360 degrees, the angle sum of a quadrilateral. Always write down which rule you've used inside of brackets. Let's just do an example together, okay? In triangle ABC, angle B is 30 degrees and angle C is 52 degrees. Also, angle A1 is angle A2, and they notate that with those symbols with the crosses. That angle A1 is the same as angle A2. Calculate D1 and also calculate D2. The first tip that I give you, if you ever get stuck in an exercise like this, search for triangles of which you know 2 sides. Two sides, yeah, that's feasible later on in our mathematical career. Of which you know 2 angles. If I know this one is 30 and this one is 52 degrees, I can calculate A12. And that oftentimes already gives away the biggest part of the question. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to also come up by some kind of strategy of plan, and so that I'm not calculating too much or not just try to dilly-dally and not go somewhere useful. So it's important to figure out why it's important that you know angle A12, because if I know angle A12 as a whole, I can split it in 2 equal parts. And if I know 2 equal parts, I can then calculate D1 from this angle sum triangle and D2 from this angle sum triangle, or even if I already know D1, use a straight angle rule. And I think the book always mentions that approach first as well. You don't have to write this down on the test, but it's good to do this part mentally. And again, if you ever get stuck, check if you have a triangle, in this case triangle ABC, in which you know 2 angles, because then the third one you can calculate using the angle sum of a triangle. Okay, so this part you don't have to write down, but do that part mentally. What you must write down now is, for example, this. In triangle ABC, you write angle A12 is 180, minus 30, minus 52. This whole angle here, minus 30, minus 52, is 98 degrees, angle sum of a triangle. What you also always can do is check yourself. 98 degrees means this angle must be acute, and you see indeed obtuse, sorry. So you see indeed that there's an obtuse angle. It's bigger than 90 degrees, so that checks out. Here they say you calculate angle A12 in triangle ABC. So start with in triangle ABC. This makes it a bit clearer what we are talking about. In triangle ABC, I'm going to use the angle sum of a triangle rule. Otherwise, now that we have multiple triangles, it's going to be rather hard to figure out what we're actually doing. So if you want to work in a certain triangle, then use this prefix here to notate in which triangle we're working. In triangle ABC, you use the angle sum of a triangle. Okay? Now that I know that angle A12 is 98 degrees and angle A is the same as angle A1 is the same as angle A2, that means 98 degrees must be nicely shared between those 2 angles, which means I should divide it by 2 or multiply by half. It will give you the same, which means A1 is A2, so 94 degrees. There's no rule here. Later on we sometimes call this the bisector rule. Don't worry about that for now. For now we just write it down without a rule. And with that we can calculate both D1 and D2. In ADC, we use the angle sum of a triangle, which is 180 minus A1 minus C, which is 79. And now the book says D2 is therefore 180 minus 79. They use a straight angle rule. You could also say, or angle D2 is equal to 180 minus 30 minus 49 is also 109. And then you use the angle sum of a triangle. If I'm being honest, I should then add, because I use the angle sum of a triangle, I should have added here in triangle ABD, right? So that we know on which triangle we are working. Then do that. But you see again, there are multiple ways to get there. And it's important to know that approach, it's important to know how to notate it. The most important part is just doing it. Practice this. The more you practice this, the more insight you're going to get and the more experience you're going to get in countering and doing exercises like this. So you get something like this, right? If you just take a look at the rules only and think you can do this, then you are not able to follow through on the test. You don't see what's happening, so you look a bit like John Cena right here. Don't be like John Cena, be like this, right? If you practice, you recognize what to do, follow my tips. Of course, when I come back, I will give you some tips as well on what to watch out for. One was the one where if you know two angles in a triangle, calculate the third one using the angle sum of a triangle. If you know those tricks and you've practiced well, then you recognize what to do, and this gets a whole lot easier. Okay? So, and that's the glossary list, by the way. So this finishes up chapter 5. Practice this well, and we'll maybe upload another video of this theory of one of the homework exercises, and hopefully with that you're able to do well. Okay? Good luck!